Yeah, we got 4 lakes, we got fish. So instead of going for the deer, for the venison this time around, we're gonna have a little bit of a Mediterranean diet going on for Ayuben, for a Japanese player here. It's gonna be an interesting one. Japan, obviously, like very much one of those civs that is very favored on hybrid maps. Having to pay only 45 wood for your fishing ships, that's some big savings. Ayubits, on the other hand, they do get an initial big savings as well. Their docks only 75 wood. And you also do get that golden age in at one point, so you scale a little bit there, you scale a little bit here. You get those good economic wings, for example, +7 villagers. Never going to say no to that. And yeah, overall, I mean, both civilizations here have their own kind of like great scaling into this map. We're gonna have to see exactly how they are gonna utilize this. We're jumping right into our game number one. A little bit of a clash from the north going on here. As we got Baltune facing off against kiljardi on 4 lakes. Japanese as David.
Yeah, these are two civilizations that are really good on Four Lake. We talked about it a little bit before the game started. And getting that little bit of wood economy, that savings that both of these players have, it just translates into tempo, right? You see Kiljardi getting that dock there. That's 75 wood. Baltune's got to pay full price, but once you get those amount of fishing boats in Crackety, it's enough tempo that you really don't need that many villagers on wood to consistently make fishing boats. Look at that, 45 wood.
Yeah, so you can pretty much completely sustain that talk by just having 5 villagers on wood, meaning that you can go for a very quick age of meta. Look at that Baltune. He's going for the deer early on. He's using the house, the farmhouse. The Japanese not having to make any mills. Their houses act as mills, so immediately having that increased income from deer here early on for him.
Yeah, I think that's a lot better than the age-old Japanese thing, right? Everybody puts the farmhouse by the berries, then you start gathering berries. But the thing is, if you don't get Tawara to start, those berries are just normal berries, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be slow. Going for that deer is a really good idea.
Exactly, exactly. I like that play a lot. No Terrara, no survival techniques coming in yet, but you don't really need that because that would definitely hurt your age of time into feudal age a lot. And you're already getting a great benefit just from being out there on the deer, not taking any of the sheep, or at least not with a lot of villagers, so they will last for longer here as the game goes on. Plus, now being built for Kiljardi, it's going to be interesting to see which wing he is going to go up with. He has to the mining camp, and I don't really think it is going to be an advantage because if he probably wouldn't go for mining camp.
Yeah, I mean, because it's only, what is it, 120 or something like that. It's 120 gold, so you really only need 1 or 2, right? Apparently our mics at Crackety sound terrible. If there's any robots in the chat, please spam your Mr. Destructoids.
Oh, I hope no robot here. Any robots? Are they still there?
Okay. Yeah, that those lakes look so tantalizing. We just had to take a dive in. And
yeah,
we got
I was going for a swim.
Yeah, we got our equipment a little wet. Sorry, we dried it off, and we're doing just fine now. 3 minutes into this game now. Baltune obviously going for the normal 400, 200, what I would expect to be the Coca Township, right? But take a look. See, I think for the Ayubids, I think he did go advancement wing. Did he not?
We don't see it yet. Wait, yeah, it could be. It could be. Resources are gone, and we are indeed going to be seeing that advancement wing. So, did still opt for that mining camp. That's going to have a very, very nice age of time. We do see a villager making his way across the map, so very likely we are going to be seeing a dock from Kiljardi over on 2 villagers. You know, if one isn't enough, you just gotta go. You just gotta double dip. But Baltune, he's already out there. He's got a house there. He's going to see it coming. He's got 7 villagers building that Coca Township. He wants to get those shinobis in nice and early. Villager here. Dock gets placed. Villager pulls a shiv.
Yeah, he's pretty pissed off about that one. That's for sure. Dock ends up getting canceled. You know, this was super heads-up play from Baltune because I've seen a lot of people, like, a long time ago in Four Lakes, they want to wall, like, their entire part of the lake. But I think now with how long it takes for walls to get built, probably not something you can use anymore. So he goes all the way in that corner because he knows his opponent is going to put a dock there, try to get a sneaky dock action going on. So he puts a house there, make sure that it's not there. Kiljardi is going to have to walk in the opposite direction. And now Baltune's got the tempo, Crackety, because we're going to see some ninja play.
Yeah, Shinobis are going to be out on the map, and if you only have a single dock on a pond, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. As soon as that second Shinobi comes there to play as well, you can completely disable a dock. There will be no more production coming in from that, and then you can just slowly start burning it down.
Yeah, and I think with
Desert Raiders,
with those Shinobi too, your ability to sabotage, if you do have the potential to put a dock down on your opponent's pond, it just means that they're not going to be able to deal with you. And now with some of these Desert Raiders coming out, it's a good idea to use that ranged that the Desert Raiders have, because not only are you going to be able to kite some of the Shinobi, but they do have 5 melee armor, so they can blunt a little bit of those Shinobi swords.
Exactly, and just being faster helps you so much as well, because it means that the Shinobi, they're not going to be able to run away from you. You can hunt them down, and now we see Baltune actually being the one sending the villager out in order to put a dock up on Kiljardi's lake there. First sabotage comes in, but Kiljardi, he's got a fishing ship on the far deep sea fish, so he's going to see this coming up. He's got line of sight on that.
Yep, and that's why you spread out those fishing boats, Cracky. Those fishing boats have a decent amount of vision. Desert Raider obviously having some vision too, trying to take down the Shinobi. Now that top pond is going to be Kiljardi's. I don't see a Japanese dock over there. So just like how we expect 4 lakes to go down, every lake gets contested. Every lake is a point of interest. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's also interesting to see here that even though Baltune has placed the dock down, even though Kiljardi has it in line of sight, he hasn't really reacted to it yet. He had a Desert Raider quite nearby, so he could have definitely pulled that one. I think he just didn't notice it at the moment. Do we have any ships coming in from him yet? Doesn't look like it. This could be quite a disaster for him if he doesn't react to it in time. He's got a second dock coming in.
Especially, I mean, even if he does react in time, he's got to get that second dock, and then you got to build that ship. Japanese, Baltune doing a good job with some of these horsemen. Obviously, they get a little bit of bonus damage against that Desert Raider if you have the ability to target it. But remember, the melee armor that they have is so crazy. You can blunt some of that horseman bonus armor, and Shinobi almost took a piece of those humps. Desert Raider going to be walking in the opposite direction. Look at the resources, though, Crackety. Kiljardi looks like he doesn't want to spend too much and try to go up to castle.
Yeah, it's a little bit greedy potentially for him, but it looks like Baltune's trying to do the same. I mean, Kiljardi, he did scout out that there is an outpost coming up for Baltune. So he knows that Baltune might just want to go up to the next age, and so it makes sense for him to mirror that play. Oh, that was not the villager. That was the Shinobi from earlier. Gets picked off, though.
Yeah, and that's no sabotage, right? That's really important. So now Sprinkled Chip ends up getting queued. So hopefully he's going to have a little bit of contestation over there on the southern dock. But maybe this is what Baltune is looking for. You know, he wants Kiljardi to spend on a navy, on a pond to try to protect his fishing. Because if he does, he's got to spend those resources. He's not going to castle.
Yeah, dock now coming up from Baltune at the northern pond. It's going to immediately get reacted onto by Kiljardi. Is adding another archer ship there in that pond as well. We're also getting a Sprinkled Ship for him in the southern pond, so we'll have a full composition. It looks like Baltune isn't much further into that now. It looks like he is just intending to play a pull up now. Ooh, we have an emplacement.
That's so important, right? These naval arrow slits on the south side, and the Japanese can pretty much get these for quote-unquote free, right? Because you're getting that passive stone, right? So you're going to be able to put naval arrow slits just because if there's any kind of, you know, shenanigans that are going on, that dock needs a lot of problems, you know? It's going to need to be taken down by land masses or a bunch of demo ships. Looks like Baltune tried to get a dock up there on the north side as well. A second dock, not going to be the case, and both these guys hoarding resources. They're trying to spend as little as possible.
Yeah, both are trying to thread the needle here for the age up. Baltune losing a villager. Kiljardi also looking for the age up, gathering up resources.
Yeah, and I think with Baltune, oh my god, a couple explosive junks. Looks like trying to get in there, or explosive ships, I should say, excuse me. Explosive trying to get in on that Sprinkled Ship. Naval arrow slits trying to help out. And this is the reason why the arrow slits is that good, right? The arrow ship goes down, and look what they're going to do. He has to spend all of those if he wants to take down a dock like that. Going to get them real close to the dock, so when they do explode, they're going to go right onto the dock. Baltune, the first one up to Castle Age, suspending that gate in midair.
Floating gate coming in. 11 villagers working on that. Kiljardi. Gonna have to wait and see a little bit more food necessary for him to be able to also age up. I'm guessing that it's gonna be most likely Eco Wing or Reinforcement Wing, but I'm tipping towards Eco Wing.
What do you? I mean, what do you think about going military wing at this point? I mean, yeah, the Eco Wing, great 7 villagers, and I could probably concur with you being a good choice. But you know that there's going to be a floating gate. You know there's probably going to be some mounted samurai stuff. Do you think the Desert Raider has any play here?
You're getting 3 Desert Raiders every 2 minutes, which is a nice boost, but having 7 villagers, yeah, that sounds a lot more appealing, I feel like, because 7 villagers, they bring a lot more resource in there.
Yeah, I guess it just goes to show, like, you get those resources, right, every 2 minutes in the form of Desert Raiders, but if you get those villagers, you can get whatever resources you want to make whatever you want. You're not locked in to those Desert Raiders, so I definitely understand that. He'll be going up. It's probably going to take about a minute or so to get there. Baltune is continuing to spam out those mounted samurai. We're going to wait to see those hit the battlefield. And this is the thing about Four Lakes, Crackety. This is a very difficult place to wall. There's a lot of, because you're using a lot of wood on those lakes, on those ponds, I think people don't really wall or use outposts or the sort. So Baltune's going to get a nice little raid here.
Yeah, mounted samurai now coming in, more and more of them. 2 out, 3 more in queue. That's the power of water for you. You immediately have the resource to spend.
Yeah, and I think just because of, you're right, with the mounted samurai being what they are, right, how much food they cost per, Baltune has 5 in the queue. Honestly, I've played some games as Japan. Like, yeah, you get that one stable, you get the Yoroshiru in there from the Shinto priest, and then you end up making more stables. And that's what Baltune did, because he's got the food for it, right? For the fishing. So he's got multiple stables pumping out mounted samurai. Kiljardi's got to get up to Castle Age. He's got to get up there pretty soon.
Yeah, it still takes so long for him to get there. He has a lot of resources in the bank, will want to spend them. Question is on what. Desert Raiders are now going to go down, so the mass is going to be drastically reduced.
You know, Crackety, I kind of like how Baltune, I don't think he's doing this intentionally. This is just from leftover from Feudal Age, but I kind of like that he's mixing in a little bit of Horseman here, you know? Because if he's going for a bunch of Desert Raiders, maybe the Horseman can give you a little bit of bonus damage that helps take down those Raiders a little bit quicker. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely helps out a lot, especially if there are like moments where you don't have enough gold for another mounted samurai. You can just substitute that with a horseman. You'll still do a good amount of bonus damage. But now Baltune, he's inside the base. There's a lot of villagers about to be out. Lots of stables though, and we do get a lot of camel lancers coming in. That's gonna take a little bit longer for them to come out. Kiljardi's gonna have to bridge the time in the meantime though.
Oh my god, these villagers. Crackety, they have nowhere to go. They're all running away. He's got just about all of his land eco is idle. He's waiting for those camel lancers to come in. The thing of it is, I mean, the camel lancers, don't get me wrong, they're camels, they provide some unease, that kind of stuff, but I don't think they're as good against mounted samurai as people might realize.
Yeah, the mounted... I mean, what's the big bonus for camel lancers? They got a nice charge going for them. That gets blocked by the reflective armor. They got these, that gets blocked by the Uma Bannerman coming in. And suddenly, Kiljardi, he's taking the fight. He's got a lot more camels in queue. Villagers now even picking the shivs out, taking the shivs out. The camel lance is still going down. And so many mounted samurai still coming in, so many villagers dead. That is not recoverable anymore, I would say.
When you got villagers pulling shivs out, you got yourself a problem. Look at them all. I mean, they can take off the deflection, so we'll give them that, but Kiljardi, he's not getting any resources right now. He's 1 gold a minute. Villagers are continuing to go down. Baltune is saying economic wing. You can kiss my ass with that economic wing. You got +7 villagers. I just killed 30. More of them are going down. This is your ball game. This is it. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to come back. And Kiljardi knows GG gets called. Baltune able to take the first game here.
Wow. I mean, he just took about 5 mounted samurai. I mean, obviously he was getting reinforcements, but he just took about 5 and ran into the town center. And there you go. You know, he did have iron undermesh. I'm not sure if he had wedge rivets or not. I didn't check. But having that, just make sure that you're able to sit under that town center for a little bit of time. And those camel lancers, Crackety, I mean, I know I alluded to it, but like, they got melted.
They absolutely did get melted. It's kind of crazy. I feel like maybe one of the main things that went wrong here for Kiljardi is he didn't produce any units while he was trying to age up. I think maybe if he just kept spamming some of those Desert Raiders, it could have been better for him. At least he would have had units in the transition right after. But here, in this case, he got up to the next age and didn't have anything left on the field. And the Mounted Samurai just were able to sit and park underneath the TC.
Yeah, and I think this shows the power of the Japanese as well. Just making sure that even with the little bit of boats, technically he only had one safe pond, but the amount of fishing boats that he had there, his food economy that was there, it just translates so well in Castle Age for their ability to pump those mounted samurai out, especially out of the Oroshiru. So the production is always going to be there. As you see a Baltune on the top part of your screen as it disappears out of sight. So you're going to have to trust me on it. He had 11 mounted samurai while that last fight with all of those villagers happened. So getting those extra one or two stables, right, with the Oroshiru, because you have the ability to pump all that out. You can get all of that. You don't have to worry about a blacksmith either because you got forge. So the tempo is just, oh, it's chef's kiss. I love Japan on Four Lakes, and I probably won't play any other Civ but Japan on Four Lakes now.
Yeah, Japan definitely it does shine on those hybrid maps, and we did just see that coming in from Baltune. Next up on the menu, though, as we do have our chefs cooking here for you, we're going to be seeing the Ruse coming in for Kiljardi and Baltune picking up the Delhi.
Oh man, I love some Roos gameplay, and a big shout out to Demu for the raid. Best of luck, my friend, in the next series. Going to be playing against Beastie. I hope that you're feeling well, and I hope that you give us a hell of a series against one of the what people might call one of the best that are out there. Okay, so coming up on this game number 2, we'll be waiting to see, and hopefully we get an interview from you a little later. But for this game number 2, I know that you've had some well, I want to say some strong armed opinions, we'll say, about the Delhi Sultanate. Um, Thoughts on them? You know, this is your time. We have about 3 minutes. I've given you your soapbox. You go ahead and stand on that bugger and you tell me. Tell me how you feel.
Get him out of here! I don't want to see him anymore. Get him out! No, ban him, remove him. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough at the moment, right? Like Delhi at the moment, they're one of those civilizations that even if you know exactly what's going to happen, even if you know exactly the game plan that they're going to go for, it's still tough. It's still tough. Delhi can just play their thing blind at the moment and still have great chance at victory. I feel that kind of tells that Delhi's in a good spot at the moment when it comes to civilizations. Roosto, on the other hand, I think they're a solid civilization to pick against Delhi overall.
You know, I do too. I actually do. I think that just because they get a little bit first on the pro scouts, right? Because Delhi's got to wait a little bit. You get Dome of the Faith. You got to pump some scholars out. Everybody's got to get their books out. Go to chapter 4, which is professional scouts, and start researching it and start learning it. The Roost, not so much. They get that just in normal time. And with the hunting cabin, going to be able to pump out some scouts. It's going to be easier. Now, you're talking about the Delhi and get him out of here. Okay, we're forced to watch this Delhi game, whether we like it or not. We have to see it. We have to comment on it in an unbiased well, maybe not. Just sneak in like some passive aggressive comments, I think. But if you're playing against Delhi, right? Where do you think their weak point is in the game? It's for people, probably a lot of people on ladder that are struggling to deal with the Delhi Sultanate. Give them a tidbit of knowledge. How can we stop the Delhi Sultanate?
Well, it used to be that once Delhi reaches Castle Age, it's going to take them a while in order to get upgrades. That's not really the case anymore. So I think probably the best way at the moment to play against Delhi is, one, to get Pro Scout, because recently we've seen just Delhi rush Pro Scouts with a second mill as well, and just get a lot of food safely underneath that TC. You want to have them out on the map. You want to have there to be some points that you can actually attack against the Delhi. So getting Pro Scouts, not necessarily so you get the food, but so that your opponent doesn't get the food, can work quite well against them. And on top of that, I think kiljardi, he's got a pretty good kit overall. With the ruse, you get early nights, so even if you do play a little bit longer in Castle Age, you do get pretty efficient units out there. And then there are the cap vouchers that you get access to if you hit Castle Age. Delhi has one really strong landmark at the moment that is just absurdly strong in Feudal Age. It's the Dome of Faith. Gives you 130 resources worth of a discount per minute at the moment. That's like almost twice as good as a Manza Quarry for Malians. But kiljardi, with the ruse, he also has a lot of really good landmarks. You get the golden gates, are able to rebalance the economy. You build like 1 to 2 hunting cabins early on. And just like that, you're also going to get a lot of passive income. And that is why I think that ruse, in theory, should have a pretty competitive time here up against the Delhi. They also got some of the best mangonels, so even if it gets to a late game, there is a chance. So let's jump into our game number 2 between kiljardi and Baltune as we're moving out to Dry Arabia with Rus against the Delhi Sultanate.
Yeah, this is a good matchup. This is one that, honestly, Crackety, I've seen on ladder time and time again from my experience from playing both of these civilizations. And I think you kind of hit the nail with some of the, early castle to feudal age play that we're going to see out of both of these guys. Obviously, we're going to see pro scouts out of both of them, right? But with Rus, I think they can really set the tone with horse archers. And I know people are, if you've watched horse archers before, I lose my mind over them. But this is a matchup where I feel like they could be pretty good because for the Delhi Sultanate, usually they don't want to. I know it takes a little bit of time for them to get their castle age upgrades, not as much as it used to, but it still does a little bit. The amount of time for them to do it, you use those horse archers. They want to pump out these castle age units. They make knights, they make men-at-arms, they make crossbowmen. All 3 of them are pretty good with horse archers dealing against them. So could be the play. We'll see.
Something to keep in mind as well is that the elephant, the tower elephant, doesn't really take any bonus damage from anything other than horsemen and spearmen. Those are melee units, so it can be very tough to connect onto them. That's where the cav archers come in. 12 base damage. You're able to get 5 damage through the elephant's armor while being able to keep up with them with the mounted movement speed. They also get bonus HP with Boyer's Fortitude. So in mass, cav archers, at least in Castle Age, are going to be able to do a great amount of damage, even against those tower elephants. So you're still going to be able to raid with the cav archers, and even if there's an elephant, you can either outrun him or just take him down if you have enough mass.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Delhi could make this death ball of units with elephants and scholars healing them and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of similar to, because of their lack of mobility, I'm going to compare them to a building. It's similar to where a keep is, right? You don't have to beat your head against the keep or the elephant. Just go around it. And with the Rus and having the mobility, those horse archers move at 1.62 tiles per second. You're going to be able to outrun that big, chunky boy. So Baltune going with that Dome of the Faith, as we've realized, Rus and kiljardi going with the Golden Gate. Now, Crackety, I'm a huge Golden Gate fan. The ability to change up your resources a little bit. And if you're a newer player, maybe fixing your resource management, your macro a little bit, it really helps.
Yeah, it definitely provides you with a lot of value. Even if the game goes a little bit into longer stages, imagine that. You don't have access to gold. You get, like, suddenly notice you got 10 tickets remaining, you got 1,000 wood in the bank, suddenly you got 1,500 gold. That's a good trade-off, or if I've ever seen one. So, yeah, one of those landmarks that just helps you take normal timings, boost them up a little bit further, and if you need an oh crap button, you've got that one. You're able to quickly balance out your economy if you ever notice, like, some big unbalanced resource going on there.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the ability... Now, Golden Gate was something that I, like, live and died by, but once the Kremlin got a bunch of changes and got buffed over and over again, I understand the premise of the Kremlin and why it was that good. But you got to remember now, with the Golden Gate here for kiljardi, Rus isn't that defensive powerhouse of a base that you're used to seeing, right? I mean, obviously, you have all those deer carcasses from pro scouts that are by the town center. Maybe they get a wooden fortress or two, but there's not some gigantic 5,000 hit point outpost coming at you. So even though they have some secure things, they still have a potential to get raided and get some units under that town center.
Yeah, that's true. You don't really have that anymore if you don't go for the Kremlin. But we do see the early pro scouts coming in. Kiljardi already has 4 scouts out on the map. Second mill is now coming up for Baltune, so we will likely be seeing pro scouts getting queued up from that second mill relatively soon. Indeed, we do have everything but pro scouts actually being queued. That one should be happening from that second mill any moment now. Any moment.
Baltune, that's like the thing. Like, that's what we've been talking about.
That's why you put it up there.
I really need you to hit that button. Baltune, okay.
There it is. There we are. Yeah, okay. You just need a moment.
God, wake up. Baltune, there we go. And Roos, now, this is the thing, though, with pro scouts with the Roos. You use that golden gate to get you that little bit of a gold. If you want to, you could use some wood. You could even use food if you want to. I've used food a couple times out of the golden gate to get that pro scout so quickly. You already have all of the scouts from the hunting cabin. So Kiljardi has 5 scouts, and then pro scouts is going to get completed just about right now. So now this is the point of game where you have 4 different points of interest with the deer packs. Plus with Delhi, you have 3 separate ones with the sacred site. So this is when you got to keep your head on a swivel. You know, with these scouts now from Kiljardi, he's got 5. He's going to be adding a 6th. Looks like he's going for that easy, that safe deer pack over on the southeastern portion of his base, or of Baltune's base anyway, to try to get those deer.
Kiljardi, he is trying to get away with taking some of the deer from Baltune's side, but Ghazi Raiders already out and about in mass is going to make it a little bit tougher. But even if you don't get the deer, you've pretty much already denied them from your opponent. Kiljardi taking the deer in the back of Baltune's base as well.
Yeah, a little bit of yoink tactics. We love to see it. And I mean, Kiljardi doesn't have to waste villager time on building these scouts, which is very advantageous for him. I think this scout will end up going down. Ghazi's got to walk in the opposite direction because of that wooden fortress. But for Delhi, that's one of the things that even though the pro scouts takes a little bit longer, they have the ability to be somewhat defensive because those Ghazis, you can get them out real quick, number 1. Number 2, they are quicker than your scout, even when they don't have a deer cart, because as you can see, he's going to be able to pinch that one, take it down.
Yeah, and it's not just that. Usually, horsemen, they don't do that much damage. 9 damage every time they get a hit off. Ghazi do 12. That's 3 more. You need so many hits less in order to really take down one of these scouts, and you're not connecting every time as well, so you're not making maximum usage of the attack speed as well from the horsemen. So Ghazi are just excellent at hunting down these scouts. Double sacred site being captured up right now as well. This is one of those difficult situations where now your opponent starts capturing up those sacred sites at multiple spots. You went for pro scouts. Chances are you're not going to have the military to deny any of those sacred sites.
Yeah, and this is what makes Delhi really good right now in feudal, because everybody is so focused on the deer packs, right? And then all of a sudden these sacred sites start getting captured and you're like, well, I was just focused on these deer for the longest time. As Baltune gets a couple of his Ghazis and end up going down, but he's transitioning into archers, which is going to be effective for him. With all of this gold here, and once Pro Scouts gets created, he's going to have some safe deer back home. So as long as he has a couple, he's going to be okay. I'm kind of looking like this is looking good for Baltune.
Yeah, he's just getting a ton of passive gold income now as well. Ghazi Raiders, looks like a scout was trying to make sure Sacred Site doesn't get captured up, but now there's archers coming in. So Kiljardi knows, okay, he can't really stick around for too long. That scout will actually get picked off. So Kiljardi now down to 2 scouts, but he managed to ferry back quite a few of the deer so far. Just needs to make sure that he can keep doing so, because Pro Scout's also about to finish off for Baltune, and he has already produced an additional 3 scouts now.
You know, I'm pretty sure, and this is what's nice for Baltune, you can get on the map, right? You can get some Ghazi Raiders and stuff out there just to create a little bit of map control, because when the Pro Scouts actually gets created, you have time to make a couple scouts, right? You have the time to do that. Now that it's created, hopefully some of those safe deer packs he's going to be able to get. Kiljardi, this is one that's, you know, quote-unquote safe, right, on the western side, but Ghazi Raiders are going to have something to say about it. With Baltune over here with his couple of deer packs that he has, Kiljardi did take a couple of them, but there still is food for the taking. He's got a berry patch up to the north that's relatively safe, but he might be able to come back and get some of those deer carcasses.
Another scout is going to get picked off there. Kiljardi now down to 1 scout. He is trying to go for the age up, but if you look at the resource from Baltune, It's not really a fast castle because Baltune with the deli is right behind him. He's getting so much passive gold right now.
Yeah, I mean, with this, with the amount of gold that you're getting, look at this, 465 gold a minute based on those sacred sites. I'm not sure. He probably has 1 or 2 still on gold, but Kiljardi's going to be the first one to hit that button. Going to go up with the high trade house in a pretty decent spot. Looks like he's got that southern wood bushel, and you can go ahead, everybody in the chat, pick a number and tell me what the high trade house is going to be. We'll check it back in a minute. Going to be going with some archery ranges as well. So I think we will see some horse archer play Baltune quickly to follow in that castle age department.
Yeah, we can see all the scholars are now being sent out. Baltune has map control. He's got the Gazi Raider, he's got the archers. Now is the time for him to just send all the scholars out onto every single individual relic. And as soon as the age up comes in, just spam pick them all up. When it comes to the high trade house, my guess is going to be probably like 141.
141. I'm gonna go with a $120. I'm thinking it's in 120. I'm not sure how much bounty Kiljardi has, but depending on that, if it's up to above 750, obviously that high trade house or that glorified hunting cabin, the hunting cabin your girlfriend tells you not to worry about, is going to get a decent amount of gold. So Baltune trying to get a little bit of a raid in here, trying to get into these Bruce base, but that fortified palisade is going to have something to say about it.
All right, A-Jump has now come in for Baltune. First relic, second relic being picked up, third relic being picked up. Can we get a fourth one? Fourth one. 4 relics at the same time, all disappearing. And can we get a fifth one?
5!
Where are the relics? They're all disappeared off the map. They're gone. Where relics? Huh. That's strange. I could have sworn this map had some.
5 relics. He's gonna get all of them. He's got sacred sites for some passive gold as well. It's absolutely insane. Now, you know, and Bruce, like, the reason why you're going up to fast casual is not only for the high trade house, getting that passive income, but also because you might have first crack at those relics. Not going to be the case. Horse archers trying to kite some of these Gazis, even though those Gazis are in feudal right now, they still have that mobility and that bonus damage to take down those horse archers. That's going to prove to be a big problem. You want to get that critical mass of horse archers to start one-tapping units. Kiljardi's not going to have that. He's going to need to get more and more horse archers to deal with this. And really quickly, Observer, Vodka, can we check and see what that high trade house is? I want to see if we have a winner.
And it's going to be 151.
Wow.
Okay. Wait. Somebody said it in chat.
151. We have...
There's no way. That is so fitting. All right. We got to get something for that. In the future, we got to get like prizes for that.
Yeah, I think special shout out to K9708 with 152, 030-29922 at 150. Both of you win absolutely nothing, but thank you guys for playing and spamming your numbers. It is super nice that you guys are a part. Pilgrim says 151 after the high trade house was done. Pilgrim, you win nothing and maybe actually, you know what? You're going to win a timeout. Okay?
Oh my god. Canvoucher numbers are starting to mess up. Baltune, though, he's got knights, he's got 15 archers, veterancy already in. So these upgrades that take a while for Delhi, there's 14 scholars, he's got 5 relics. All the scholars are back to work now inside of the mosque. So yeah, they don't really take a long time to come in, and it's a lot of free upgrades. It's a lot of free economy that you basically get through that. I feel like if Baltune just cancelled all of his units right now that he had in queue, he could almost go Imperial. Think about how many upgrades you unlock then.
Yeah, we talk about these upgrades, and you know, with Delhi, when they continue to scale like this, right? Getting all of those upgrades, especially like House of Learning upgrades, you got a think tank of scholars now with how much you have. 15 scholars cracking the books, making sure that you're going to get every technology in your wildest dreams for free. So with him using those, it looks like Baltune is going to be adding some knights as well. It looks like he's kind of straying away from the horsemen, which is rather surprising. I mean, with all of these horse archers here, I was expecting to see a little bit more Gazis, but Kiljardi's got 25 horse archers looking for some raiding potential. He's got to do something. He's got to do something now if he wants to kind of even the score out.
Ooh, missed the villagers on the wall, but might find the villagers on the stone here. Kiljardi, there we go. First one. Make that 2.
Another
Counting to
one?
3.
Yeah. Maybe a 4.
Say
Maybe
four.
number 4. Up.
Oh, no 4-1. Excel's too
maybe.
strong.
Yeah. Oh, there's number 4. 5? Oh, yeah.
5.
Oh, yeah. What a time to
7
be
builds
alive.
down.
Seeing...
Imagine, though, a world in which that really mattered against Delhi.
Yeah, a lot of times with them getting a bunch of free stuff, right, it becomes a little difficult. Now, you got to remember, with this tournament, the animation canceling is something that is strictly forbidden. So we've seen a lot of players, and I don't know how you feel about this, Crackety, but I've seen players like not go for Desert Raiders as much, not go for some of these units that have the potential to animation cancel because you don't want to get caught doing it.
Yeah, you definitely don't. I mean, in theory, it's not hard to not animation cancel. You just have to, like, count, I want to say. Like, wait a second after you attack. That's definitely something that you have to be wary of. Kiljardi now transitioning into horsemen and crossbows. He's not out of this game yet, but I gotta say, Delhi, with 5 relics, they're in a phenomenal spot right now.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, you're looking at Baltune's gold per minute. The crazy thing about it is I don't think he has villagers on gold at all. I'm not sure if Kiljardi has villagers on gold at all either, because most of what he's getting is food and wood based. Obviously a little bit of gold for the crossbowmen, but that's something that High Trade House can help you with. Now we've reached a pivotal point, right, in this 15-16 minutes. These deer carcasses are starting to dry up. So what does Roos have to do? Do a farm transition? He doesn't really want to do that. That means more wood that you're pulling away. Maybe you want to use that in a different avenue. Maybe you want to get some more horse archers that cost a little bit of wood. So Baltune has the ability to continue to pump all of these. Roos, not so much. Look at that military count, Crackety. Baltune's almost doubling.
Yeah, granted, 20 of that is in scholars, but it is a very, very big mass here now at this point in time. We do have a wooden fortress coming in as well, though, for Kiljardi, but this is going to be a momentous fight now. He's able to win this or not. I wonder, does Kiljardi have Boyer's Fortitude? Do we see that plus 25 HP on those horsemen, on those cav archers? Because it would make a big difference here. If the cav archers have plus 25 HP, it means that they can survive a lot better up against the archers. Knights, for the most part, are starting to go down. We don't have Boyer's Fortitude. These cav archers, they will melt against the archers. Horsemen still at the front side, but there are knights ready to pick them off. They're unable to connect onto the archers, onto the meat and butter of Baltune's army here.
I'll tell you what, those horsemen from Kiljardi were surprisingly more tanky than I thought they were going to be. As you can see, they're shielding from a lot of archer fire. It looks like those archers trying to finally pin down a lot of those horse archers. Only 5 left. That's not that critical mass that we want to see. You're not going to be able to take a lot down with that wooden fortress from Kiljardi getting helped out on the south side. Looks like you might be able to take care of a decent amount of archers if that wooden fortress is targeting correctly, and it is. No springled upgrade for it, however, and Baltune is going to continue to pump units in here. Military count 50 to 8. Kiljardi, it's right on the production. He's not going to be able to mass this up anymore.
Yeah, tons of idle time now. Knights on the other side as well. So Kiljardi, he's getting pinched from every single side, and unlike Butter, those archers, they aren't quite melting. Instead, they're reforming. There are more archers coming in, more knights coming in. Kiljardi, once again, he's completely idled out. There is nothing in queue for him at the moment. Because realistically, what unit can he make right now in this situation? More horsemen? They're just going to die to the knights.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of food-heavy unit you're going to struggle with, right? He's getting about 400 food per minute. Again, those deer carcasses are pretty much gone, other than what's in the High Trade House. Kiljardi trying to make a little run for his life, trying to build a fortified gate over here on this side, but Baltune knows that. He sees it. Even though you might get around this gate, there might be some units coming around the other side because they know where you're going to end up going, trying to get some gold over there on the north side. And Cracky, that looks like the most dangerous gold in existence.
Yeah, just about now. The archers already found it. Villagers, they're trapping the knights in, though, and Kiljardi, he's pulling the shifts. Never mind, switching from the shifts over to the bases. He wants to get to the hammer. He wants to get the outpost up, but realize, oh, wait, now there's a knight. I can't get this up, and GG gets cold. Great civilizations here for Baltune. He's able to take a second victory now, putting him on match point.
Yeah, I'll tell you, for Baltune, this has been really good, not only in gameplay, but I feel like for some of the drafting that's coming from this too, I feel like you got some pretty good matchups on this one. Taking a look at some of the resources, Baltune, with how much gold that he got. If you look very quickly, almost 6,800 gold over there. Most of it, he didn't have to mine. It was relics and sacred sites. Kiljardi got a little bit of passive income with some wood. You know, his food gathering speed's a little bit increased, maybe some gold from the high trade house. And even though that thing was $1.51 a minute, that's not in comparison to those relics and those sacred sites. This is a really pivotal point in the game, Crackety, this like early castle kind of thing. Kiljardi trying to get map control back a little bit with those horse archers, but he had his first like 1 or 2 batches that fell really flat.
Yeah, I mean, this is just when you look at the military count here in the replay, it's almost 2-1. Granted, still some of these are scholars, but the scholars, they still contribute so much to the Delhi economy, and that just means you are able to produce so many more units as you get all the eco upgrades for free, all the blacksmith upgrades for free, and all adds up. These are things that Kiljardi just couldn't really afford. Boya's Fortitude here definitely would have helped him out a ton, but just not being able to get those free upgrades in like the Delhi, he wasn't able to afford it. Means that his horsemen and his cavalry archers just die a lot faster, and without that extra little bit of HP, health is a resource. You just aren't able to quite stem that tide there at the front side. At the end, last desperate maneuver out to the goal, tries to get the outpost up, tries to rush it up, but then there's another knight, and suddenly, with armored units there as well, and even more approaching, you just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and yeah, now it ends up with Baltune 2-0 being at match point, but we already see what's coming up next.
You know what was just to harp on game number 2 just a little bit more. You know what I think was a really indirect kind of thing for Baltune in his favor. We talked about him scooping up the relics and getting that passive gold and blah blah blah. But the thing of it is, because all of those relics were gone, Kiljardi probably saw all of those relics gone. He didn't get a monastery, and he didn't get warrior monks. So there was no Saint's Blessing either. You know, the Saint's Blessing. Not only, I mean, I know people sleep on it. It might not be, you know, there's better things. You could inspire warriors as HRE, Order of the Dragon, that kind of stuff. But if Saint's Blessing giving you that little bit more ranged armor against an archer mass like Baltune could have been a big deal. Kiljardi played the atheist route of Ruse.
Yeah, I mean, it's already incredibly demotivating when you hit age up. You're like, okay, I didn't manage to deny the sacred sites. I didn't invest that much into feudal age, but surely my age up is going to be a lot quicker than my opponent's. You get the age up in, 10, 15 seconds later, your opponent suddenly ages up as well. Another 10 seconds later, suddenly every single relic is gone off the map. That's just a big like gut punch right then and there. Kiljardi now, he's going to have to make up for it as we're going to move over to Baldland in our game number 3. We're going to see the Order of the Dragon for Kiljardi up against Baltune with the French. And this is going to be an interesting one because I think Order of the Dragon, heavily underrated civilization. I think that you definitely have to play them different compared to HRE. But if you get the right balancing between just being able to mass units and getting the right upgrades at the right time, they absolutely melt whatever army they're facing.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to know what your opinion is on this matchup specifically on Baldland, because Order of the Dragon, like, I actually really like them against French. Getting the ability to get those spearmen. I've played a Order of the Dragon versus French game yesterday, actually, getting some Dark Age spearmen to kind of contest what's going on in the gold mine. You get a little bit of some cheese, some shenanigans that go on in Dark Age. And you know, for the French, this has been since day 1 of Age of Empires 4. French, for the first like 4 minutes, they want to get left the hell alone.
Yeah, I think this matchup is really good for OTD as well. I think OTD absolutely shines here, mainly because usually one knight can beat one spearman. Not the case over here. Granted, you pay a lot more for that spearman, but they survive a lot more, and they just do so much damage. What the hell was that ghost hand behind you?
Oh my god. That was my honey.
The door just closed itself.
Oh my god.
Crazy. That's crazy. Okay, Tim, watch out. Watch out. It's coming for you.
Oh god.
You know what's else coming for you, though? It's going to be game number 3.
Look at oh man, look at that segue, Crackety. You're so good at this. Oh my god.
Transition.
Coming into game number 3.
Dark Age action.
It's a Dark Age. Oh my god.
And the call is forward.
We're going off the rails. We're only in game 3. Guys, we haven't even been live for an hour. And we're already... Do you know what? We've seen one Delhi game, and we just lose our minds. All right?
Oh my god. And he's getting no boost.
He's gonna post. Oh my god. Kiljardi, Dark Age. Gonna be going with that Gilded Spearman like we talked about prior. Baltune does know that Spearman is going to be there. So he puts an outpost up. Now, this is the thing, though, Crackety, as the French, especially this early in the game, you really don't want to be making this stuff. You don't want to put... Okay, dude. You don't want to put... you don't want to spend 100 wood on an outpost this early if you're French, but I know for Baltune's sake, he really doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, the outpost is definitely worth it here for him. You're able to protect yourself from the spear, you're able to secure your gold. A nice follow-up would be for kiljardi to make his own outpost on the gold, just further deny it, because if your spearman can't get to it, at least the outpost is going to be able to. But that's where Order of the Dragon starts lacking a little bit. Now, a civilization like Mongols, they can put 5 spearmen in that outpost, no worries. They double produce them, they pay half, pretty much. That's not really an option for the Order of the Dragon. Getting to 5 spearmen, that's a major, major investment. So, outpost at least has been forced here by kiljardi. Is going to have to just take that value and look elsewhere.
Oh, I mean, think about Kiljardi making 5 of those Gilded Spearmen. He's going to be stuck in Dark Age for the rest of his life, you know? So, Baltune, heads up play. And he also, I think he went to gold a little bit earlier than what we expect because he's already got that 200 gold, right? I think if you know that some of this stuff is coming and if you scout it, you're going to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of extra villagers or start my gold mining earlier so I don't get completely screwed out of gold. So he's going to be going up with the school cavalry at relatively normal time. Now for Order of the Dragon, Crackety, there's been some mine work play. There is some Aachen play. How do you feel? What landmark are you thinking?
I think both are genuinely very much viable at the moment. Granted, the Aachen, you don't really have that many great spearmen to put him. But there it is. Aachen is going to be coming in. Let's take a look at that. I think it's a woodline, gold, and maybe the TC. Yeah, those are still all in range here. Oh, barely has the gold in range. That's a pretty good Aachen spot. I think with this spot, you can definitely make the case for the Aachen. Granted, it's not as strong as for the HRE. You're getting 15% more gathering. That's a lot of sheep, Tim. Tim, that's a lot of sheep.
Oh man, there ain't and for Baltune there ain't mutton you could do about it. Thanks, guys. I'll be here for the rest of the stream. The ability for you to put those sheep under the Aachen Chapel, right, is really going to help you. Now, for Order of the Dragon in Feudal Age, as Baltune's going to be scooping up some mutton for himself, what do you think about professional scouts for Order of the Dragon?
Definitely one of those civs that you can go for it, especially with the Aachen. Same thing for French, though. We are also very likely to be seeing it from the French, as they don't have to pay quite as much for it. And Baltune, he's already put down that mill on the berries, so immediately has the building where he can get that Pro Scout research from. Same thing for kiljardi. He's putting it up now as well.
This Gilded Spearman isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, yeah, maybe it slowed you down a little bit. It's kind of impressive that kiljardi was able to get a feudal time of around 4 minutes 30 with getting a barracks and getting a Gilded Spearman, because that's a lot of food. I'm going to have to see what kind of build he has and study that one a little bit later. But it's nice for these spearmen, even though it maybe didn't do that economic damage that you wanted against French. At least you have a spearman here already that when the French, when Baltune starts getting Royal Knights out, at least you already have the counter, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. Like, having that early spearman, you're going to have to invest into spearmen at one point anyways. So having them out sooner rather than later, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Meanwhile, Baltune, those 100 wood are going to set him behind a little bit. But he's going to be fine as well, because it's similar for French. They might want to get an outpost on their gold anyways, so might as well. No Pro Scouts coming in for both players.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Pro Scouts coming in for both of them. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off on that one, but it looks like about 3/4 of it's going to be for the French. Now, he has the mobility with the Knights, right? And he's going to be adding scouts with that school of cavalry, which is great. Kiljardi does have to make a stable in order to make this effective. So let's see if Kiljardi goes into not only scouts, but horsemen for that mobility. Horsemen versus spears. What are you thinking?
I mean, mean, Order of the Dragon Horsemen are pretty good.
Mhm.
They're like knights. They're legitimately like knights.
Yeah, I mean they have the power, right? Maybe not so much in terms of damage. The armor isn't exactly there for those guys, but with that Aachen
A lot
Chapel a
more
little
health.
bit forward here, Knights might be able to find a juicy target. Now, as those villagers start to back away from Kiljardi, you got to remember these gilded villagers, a little bit more health than your average villager. So those knights aren't going to be able to two-tap and just run away.
Yeah, exactly. Spearmen are out at the front for Kiljardi, so he is immediately gonna have tools to work with up against the up against the scouts from Baltune. Speaking of scouts, though, he's going over the top, isn't he? 4 scouts out, 2 more in queue. He's going all the way here. He's taking a lot of them now off the map. A lot of the deer are getting carried away. He wants all of them.
He knows the importance, right? He knows what game we're playing. He knows what season of Age of Empires 4 it is. So he's just making a bunch of them and actually stopped on that night production a little bit. So just going for the scouts and splitting up in the multiple points of interest, which makes a lot of sense because Kiljardi doesn't have the mobility yet. He does have a horseman in the queue, but just like that, Baltune, just because he has one knight and one scout around, he can just hover over and see where the big hubbub is, sees where some of the spearmen are, maybe tries to go in the opposite direction. So Baltune with even more scouts. He's got 7 and an 8th in the queue and starting to add archers while Kiljardi's just about ready to pop down a horseman. I'm really liking Kiljardi's comp.
Yeah, first villager did go down the wood line, though. I'd managed to pick off a villager there. So it doesn't quite 2-shot, but 3 hits are still going to get the job done at the end of the day.
Now, Crackety, it kind of looks like those gold villagers aren't getting buffed for Order of the Dragon. I don't see that inspiration from them. Can we get the observer? Just take a look a little bit on that gold mine to see if there's any kind of, or we could just watch the night. That's fine. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
they're not getting inspired. You're right. You're right. They're not getting inspired. There is an issue at the moment, if I recall correctly, with the indicator of the Aachen Chapel not quite being accurate for the Order of the Dragon. So a little bit shorter than it should actually be. Does mean that Kiljardi isn't quite gonna get those villagers, those couple of villagers inspired there. It's not the end of the world though, because unlike for HRE where it's 40%, this is 15%. And you're already gathering 28% faster. It's not the end of the world, but it definitely does still hurt you.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking for, you know, anything that costs gold, stuff like blacksmith upgrades, if you're gonna make one, if you're thinking about going to Castle Age, maybe it's gonna be a little bit smaller for you. But you're exactly right. It's not a million, right? It's just, you know, at a little bit of 15%, not that big of a deal. The thing is, Baltune, he doesn't really have anything for these horsemen. I mean, I get it. The Royal Knights are going to be good, you know, against them, but I don't think with the spearmen that are there, you really want to take a battle straight up. The archers are trying to kite some of those spearmen. Royal Knights finally get a charge, get that +3 bonus for the 3 seconds after they charge. So maybe they can try to take down some of these horsemen, but all the archers get absolutely cleaned up. Kiljardi, just with those 2 horsemen, Crackety, regained the entire map.
This is kind of what happens when you make 8 to 9 scouts. You might not have enough resource for military units, and yeah, Baltune, he got caught lacking there. Does lose a lot of the archers for it. To 3 horsemen now, and I mean, these horsemen, they just shred the archers, right? Like 3 hits, archer down. With 3 horsemen, he's going to be able to one-tap them.
And really quick, can we click on one of those horsemen just to look at some of its stats? Because it's quite the juicy thing. 250 health, right? 15 damage, plus 15 to range. So they're doing 30 damage to an archer. So you're exactly right. You get 3 of those things come in. Don't forget, horsemen can get a little bit of a charge going too. Maybe you can pick off an archer while it's running in the opposite direction. Baltune trying to stay heavy into this feudal age, right? He's queuing a bunch of knights. He's queuing a bunch of archers. Looks like Kiljardi, not really too much. He's got the map control. He feels like he's ahead. So he's looking to not really do that as much. I think he's looking to go up.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it already has the food almost there. It's got it safely underneath the Aachen, or at least in range of the TC. Baltune, he can always opt to go for the A-job as well. As you can see, he's got a lot of food. He's got a lot of gold in the bank as well. He's still just producing knights, but he can always hold production, maybe even cancel some if he has them in queue, and then just go for the A-job afterwards. We don't have chivalry in yet, so these knights at the moment don't heal themselves. Some of them are a little bit low HP. Definitely still more than healthy enough when it comes to taking on E5s. And now Regnitz Cathedral is going to be coming in for kiljardi.
Yeah, honestly, I really like Regnitz Cathedral because, I mean, I think a lot of people think, well, Burgrave could be a good idea for Order of the Dragon because, you know, you have a lot of food with your professional scouts. You're getting that really, really boosted. But because that you took that first fight that was so good, you have that map control, and maybe you could try to scoop up some relics. But Order of the Dragon is a little bit slower in picking relics than their HRE parent civilization because you don't get prelates out of that town center. You got to make them out of the cathedral. So for Baltune, I think he's thinking this is his time to strike. He's looking for some raids, trying to take down maybe some of these professional scouts. But those spearmen are going to catch up. Look how fast they are. Crackety. 1.56 tiles. He needs those archers to back him up. But I don't, honestly, if I'm Baltune, I don't think I want to take this.
I feel like if I'm Baltune, I want to take this right now because this is the point in time where you can really diminish the army count of kiljardi. The archers, with this many out there, you can pretty much one-shot those spearmen. And that's what you want to do. These spearmen just hold so much value in them. If you're able to one-shot them, you're going to be in an incredibly great spot if you take a good fight there. We are getting veterancy, though, on the horseman at the moment for kiljardi. That's going to heavily boost up their value. Baltune behind this. He's also flirting with the idea of a potential age up.
Yeah, and I think if he's going to age up, maybe it's not the best idea to charge into that Order of the Dragon outpost. So I definitely do understand that, right? Because your opponent just aged up. That's 1,800 resources they spent on a fancy building. I just think kiljardi's comp is that good. You know, if Baltune had a couple spearmen with him, maybe I'm thinking about something a little different. But those horsemen, I mean, they can really do some havoc and wreck some stuff up. As Baltune going up with the guild hall, he's trying to meet his opponent in Castle Age and makes a switch. He's looking for the Royal Institute, Crackety. He wants to end this game now.
Yeah, that is going to be a very, very aggressive switch. Chivalry coming up next to it as well. Is going to be able to start healing up his knights. That is very dangerous at the same time, though. And we're also getting a gilded knight in queue. I feel like kiljardi, if he just goes for a crossbow mix now as well, just because crossbows, they're incredibly strong for the Order of the Dragon. 6 tiles of range, so you get an additional tile of range up against stuff like archers, up against stuff like the arbaletria. Able to take good fights, but that is not a good fight. Kiljardi gets caught out of position with the horseman and is going to lose one for them.
Yeah, I mean, even just, this is why Order of the Dragon, I think, is a higher skill ceiling civilization than people might realize, because it's a lot like the French with those Royal Knights that you get in Feudal. You're paying so much for each unit. Losing one, or frivolously, is very devastating for you. So what's nice is kiljardi has the food economy, is going to be able to make some more, and with those Gilded Knights as well. So Baltune, not only is he going to need that Castle Age upgrade to get Veteran Royal Knights, but he's going to need Royal Bloodlines and get these Knights Pseudo-Imperial to even have a chance against some of those Gilded Knights.
Yeah, it's in queue now, and you can just tell how many villagers he's got on cold at the moment. Now Clash is coming in. Horseman going to the front side. Spearman at the back, trying to get focused down. Baltune doing a good job on the micro veterancy upgrades. Not quite in yet. Horsemen are currently getting stuck on the Knights, which means that this fight is actually going great for Baltune. The Spearmen, they're stuck on the Archers, and the Horsemen, they're stuck on the Knights, at exactly the targets that you don't want to hit there. Kiljardi just lost his entire army.
Oh, man, Kiljardi, you're better than that. a lot of those Horsemen went right onto those Royal Knights, and don't get me wrong, those Horsemen do pack a punch, but against those Royal Knights, you don't got a shot in hell, man. Like, it's not going to happen for you. Really good for Baltune, though, to get that body block with those Knights so the Horsemen didn't get a surround. Very good. I thought this was Kiljardi's game, and it might still be right now because he just popped down his 3rd relic. Remember, he does have Regnitz Cathedral, so we're going to wait to see if that gold ends up paying off. Look at all those archers. They're trying to kite some of these spearmen down, and I think one of them still didn't get one-tapped by all of them. It's going to take a little bit more and some Knights to help clean it up, but Baltune's going to press this initiative. You want to end this game before those relics start paying off.
Yeah, Kiljardi's got a couple more Knights, but Royal Bloodlines has now just finished for Baltune. So suddenly, all of these Knights just hold a lot more value within them. Healing comes in as well behind this. Prelate being a little bit too overzealous here. He's gonna get picked off.
Yep. These
Charge
Royal
comes
Knights
in.
trying to get a little bit of a charge on these Gilded Knights, and it looks like their charge was actually pretty good. Remember, you do have those prelates to heal up those knights and try to keep them alive as much as possible. You might have the ability to get them inspired, and he's got that queued up as well. And if you think those Gilded Knights are tanky, you just wait until they have the power of prayer behind them.
Yeah, Inspired Warriors is coming in next. I'm still not seeing any crossbows coming in, any gilded crossbows. That would really be the unit here for kiljardi that could save them. We're seeing instead the first couple of arballetria coming out for Baltune. He's even out on the gold in the middle there. He's making use of this map control, and look at the resource that he's floating. Because they don't exist, he's absolutely spending everything that he's got.
Yeah, and if you're going Royal Institute, you better, right? I mean, this is the point where you're supposed to have an advantage over your opponent, and it looks like he's going to try to capitalize on that. Some knights for the gilded variety from kiljardi, trying to maintain the front line. Baltune started to add some arballetria in there. There are way too many knights, inspired or otherwise, and Baltune's going to be able to clean them up. Gilded Knight running in the opposite direction, maybe a little bit of a Wololo, but that relic is now down. That religious artifact not getting any gold per minute, and we're going to see a little bit of a repeat from what we saw from game 2, Crackety, where kiljardi's running with his villagers trying to find something to collect, and Baltune can just sit under this town center all day.
Yeah, the Royal Institute, the Royal Bloodlines, it's just too much. And the shifts come out for a second there. I feel like when the shifts come out, that's when it really starts to look like it's over. Behind this, there are more villagers going down, 14, 15 villagers down. Now, these aren't just any villagers. These are Order of the Dragon villagers. And kiljardi has to call GG Baltune in a clean fashion, able to get the 3-0 victory here up against the Finn.
Wow. I mean, this was one that I really thought kiljardi had the upper hand in this one. You know, I really, just with the overall matchup, Baltune played Dark Age perfectly with that little outpost that he had, right, to kind of deter the spearmen. I think he did pretty good in terms of pro scouts, trying to get as much food. But Baltune, he took good fights. He ended up swinging it in his favor. You can see how close it was in terms of resources gathered, too. Those relics for kiljardi not able to pay off completely. He was getting his 4th relic, but 3 of them were able to hang out just a little bit. But Baltune, the tuna, the big kahuna, takes that 3-0 sweep over kiljardi. Kiljardi is one hell of a player, and I hope to see him in the next tournament. But I'm hoping, Crackety, that you have an opportunity to interview that big tuna.
Yeah, we're gonna look into it if we can get Baltune onto the microphone here for a little after set interview. Take a look at the replay here in the meantime. Game number 1, Baltune in similar fashion able to dive underneath that TUC and just shut down the entire economy pretty much from kiljardi in the transition. It just feels like kiljardi just didn't respect the ability from Baltune to have no regard for his own units and just send them underneath the TC. And I mean, sometimes that is what you need to do. That is the right decision, to just send it and get that checkmate condition going. Once you're able to completely lock down the economy, what's your opponent going to do? Make units? Well, not if he doesn't have any resources left. And here, once again, just this big ball of military. Baltune with a lot of knights trying to get to that victory condition once more. And the Archer Knight play seems to be doing very, very good for him so far.
Yeah, you know, I think Baltune did a really good, and what I was impressed with the most with him is his game sense. You know, he had obviously the opportunity and the ability to perceive that he was ahead, right? In every single one of these games that we saw, and I mean, I know when you're just talking about it, and you're like, yeah, he thought he was ahead. You're like, yeah, obviously, we can see that. But we're in God mode, right? We can see everything that's going on. Having the ability while you're in the game to notice when you're ahead and when to take advantage of it. And Baltune did such a good job of that. He took this fight in game number 3, this pivotal match point. He had the town center helping him out. He had outposts helping him out. All of those horsemen going on those pseudo-imperial Royal Knights, which was a huge problem. Those archers even, Crackety, were still feudal age, but they were able to take down those spearmen just because of the sheer mass of them that was a devastating cleanup.
It definitely was. And the pullback with the Knights, just being able to body block onto the Horsemen there. Here we had the Gilded Knights, and this fight was taken just before Inspired Warriors came through. Got enough Arbalistria in there as well to do decisive damage onto the Gilded Knights, especially with those Royal Knights being at the front line as well. And then, once again, you're in that situation, right? You lock down that TC. There's nothing going in or out anymore. Anything that does just gets sniped immediately. And that leads us to a 3-0 victory for Baltune against Kiljardi once